Ah, Fields of Poland. My favorite map. Some people might not like it, but I feel at home here. Flanking in the south, leaving the forest, coming out to the clearing. Nice. This area is nice and peaceful. Lush and green. Ooh, there's a restaurant here. I should get a meal. Apple pie sounds delicious. This is the Apple Gardens after all. Wait, was that a teammate? Wait a minute! That was not a teammate! What is this? XM1! Gotcha! Alright, now to get the gunner and commander and... Oh my gosh! No ammo there? Oh. Okay, there we go. Whew. Problem solved. Okay. I still don't get, how did he not pen my engine anyway? It's only 45 millimeters. Anyway. Hi there! I'd like a double Russian bias Mac, Revolution onion rings, a sweet tea, and oh, an apple pie. And no tomatoes on the Mac. Thanks. Howdy folks, Sauber here. Welcome back to the channel. Today we are going to be taking a look at a second rank 7 tank that has been added to the game. The second one I have obtained also after the Leopard 2A5, the T-80U, and oh my gosh, what is that? I mean, I know, sure, that modernized snorkeling system they have at the rear is based off of the Cypress T-80Us as you saw on that first picture. But on the second and third, you see the good old original snorkel that looks like, honestly, it looks like a race car spoiler. I really wish War Thunder would have added that instead of that weird campfire chimney or whatever the heck that thing is at the back. But anyway, the T-80U. It is the final major variant of the T-80U during the Soviet era. And personally, my favorite version of the T-80U. Excellent APFSDS. I do not use the 3BM42. Now, I almost said it there. The shell that shall not be named. But the DM23. Oh my gosh. The 3BM22 is actually a really decent round. And the Contact 5 ERA, oh... it is such a dream, man. It'll stop just about any APFS DS round that comes at it. Unless, of course, you aim for the driver port, or those optic ports, or the cannon breach, or the driver port. I think I just said the driver port twice. But you get the idea. All in all, the armor is just amazing. Just hope and pray you don't get trap-shotted, because... you're not going to have a good time if that happens. And also hope your lower front plate doesn't get hit. Which, interestingly enough, speaking from experience while playing the T-80U, there have been a number of times I've actually gotten some good hits and destroyed Leopard 2A5s by aiming at the hull. Occasionally they ricocheted, but for the most part, they were good hits. And the side skirts on the T-80U, those Contact 5 side skirts at the front, they won't protect you from Sabo rounds, but they do pretty decent against heat. Granted, you may lose a track, but it'll stop heat fairly easily. Without further ado, let's get into it. So, the T-80U has an excellent meta at this point. When you get matched up with the Germans, it's almost a guaranteed win for the most part. Not 100%, as you well know, but you do get a lot of favorable and fun matches when you play alongside the Germans. And this map this match was actually really fun. I have to admit, I had a great time making the video for the T-80U. Now, brief status update. You may have noticed that I did not upload a video last week. Well, unfortunately, it did scare me a little, but thankfully, I'm over it. The previous week, or 2 weeks prior, at the time of the release of this video, most likely, I got the Type A flu. Yeah, feels bad, man. I had gotten home from work on Monday and thought it was just my allergies, because, you know, where I live, the stuff that gives you allergies, it gets it to you really bad. You know, with cedar fever and all. Ugh, all that is nasty. And I thought it was just allergies, so I get home from work. I decided to make myself some soup and some hot tea, and maybe that would help with my allergies. And then I just got worse and worse. I just felt all crappy. And I was like, man, I think I might need to call in sick from work tomorrow. Because I knew this was more than just allergies, because I was getting feverish, I was pale, my nose was all stuffed up. It was bad. So I went to the doctor the next day, and sure enough, I had the Type A flu. And in a way, I was glad I had the flu, because the doctor said another possible symptom I might have was an early stage of pneumonia, and that freaked me out just thinking about that, because my grandma died of pneumonia 2 months before I was born. She was really young. So I was like, oh god, I do not want to get pneumonia. And of course, we've had a couple scares with my mom getting pneumonia twice. So yeah, we take that stuff really seriously. So around the following Monday, I started feeling better. So at the time I'm recording this video, I'm pretty much all better. And honestly, I look forward to going back to work tomorrow. I know that sounds weird. Sauber, why do you want to go to work tomorrow? Well, because I have a job I actually like. I enjoy it, the hours are nice, and I enjoy the people that I work with. It's nice. But now that that is out of the way, let's get back to the good old T-80U. Now, it's 125mm is actually an improved version of the 2A46 M1. Yeah, that's right, 2A46 M1. Unlike the T-64s and the other T-72s and the first T-80B, this one reloads faster. That's right, faster than 7.1 seconds. This version of the 125 reloads in 6.5 seconds. I never knew that until the release. That is just amazing. It's fairly close to what the MBT-70's reload rate was back when it was first added to the game, before they ultimately nerfed it. But all in all, excuse me, 125mm is excellent. And one new strategy that I've been playing with the T-80U, as well as MBTs in general, is instead of rushing into the fray, I like to camp a little. Not spawn camp unless I absolutely have to. That's another story in itself, but just hang back in the battlefield. Let the enemy come to you. I mean, sure, it's an MBT, you can race around the map, but oftentimes when I'm racing around the map trying to do stuff, that's often what gets me killed. But if I hang back and let the enemy come to me, and then try to catch them off guard, if at all possible, then you're in for a good time. And also, the XM1s, they are a healthy diet for the T-80U as well. A number of times throughout this video, and including in some replays that didn't make the cut, I feel like I destroyed more XM1s than any other MBT in those matches. And I actually do have the XM1 myself. I obtained it when they did the April Fool's sale. That's another thing I like about April Fool's, is they come up with these silly sales. Like, I think it was last year they said, we are removing Britain because of their suffering, or something like that. I don't remember the exact wording, but they had, like, these British packs that were on sale. And for this year, in 2019, you could get the free Abrams, which basically what it was, you got $60 in fact more than $60 worth of gold, which is about, well, according to the sale, 13,337 gold. I know, totally crazy. You would get 13,337 minutes of premium, which is roughly 9 days worth of premium, which is still good. And then, of course, you got the free Abrams, the free XM1. And when I saw that, I was like, yeah, shut up and take my money! You know? Because I had contemplated getting the XM1 for a while, just as a good backup vehicle for my 10.0 American lineup. And I know what you're thinking. You're probably thinking, you're just making it worse. I'm like, well, if a bunch of people, even if you take only 9.0s, you're more likely than not going to get 10.0. And the reason is simple. It's impossible at this time for 10.0 vehicles to get up tiered, only down tiered. So who has to get sucked up to 10.0? You do, in your 9.0. So I was like, hey, I'll just put the XM1 in my lineup along with my MBT70, and oh my goodness, I forgot about this part, that Panzerkampfwagen 2 with the, I think that was a witch's hat or a wizard hat. I didn't get a good look at it, but you gotta love how people can be creative at top tier. I remember one occasion, what was I driving? I think it was my, oh yeah, my T-54, 1951. I was on Advance to the Rhine, we had the southern spawn, and I'm peeking down, you know, that main street on the eastern part of the map. And I look down and I'm like, oh my goodness, those are two M103s. And we had what you could call a fail squad, but these guys ended up being useful. It was 3 T-50 light tanks and one 29K twin 25mm SPAA truck. And I'm looking down there, I get a good hit on the first M103, but the second one hit my track. So I was like, great, I'm not going to be able to back into cover, and they'll both get, one of them will get me. But then, all of a sudden, I see 2, then 3 of the T-50s just ram them from the side. And I see the 2 M103s, their giant turrets, slowly turn to the right. And I'm able to get the breach of one of them. And then with the second shot, I was able to knock out the turret crew of the second M103. Then I drew my attention back to the first M103. Set its ammo off, and then I was able to get the rest of the crew on the last M103. But man, let me tell you, those T-50s certainly did help and come into the rescue. That was certainly fun to watch. I certainly wish I would have gotten a replay of that, but that was more than 2 years ago, and I think that was even before I did my channel reboot. But all in all, shout out to those guys, even though unfortunately I don't remember their names. That certainly was an epic gameplay. Anyway, briefly highlighting on the XM1 and my impressions, when you get the proper BR, or even if you just get, you know, the jump on the enemy, that M73 5-shot actually does pretty decent against the enemy tanks. And your fast mobility helps too. I tried it for a while in arcade using only it and the MBT-70. And for the most part, interestingly, most of my games, I think it was like 8 battles out of 11, I got all 9.0 or below. That was really nice. And I was able to utilize the best of the XM1's capabilities to get good scores and more points towards my M1A1 Abrams. It definitely helped a lot, along with the gold I got. I played until I essentially couldn't play anymore, that I was like, okay, I'm fed up with this. But this is the interesting part. I only had to spend 2,500 gold to get the M1A1 Abrams, and then it was another 4,500, yes, I know, a lot, to get the must-have modifications. I don't spade those vehicles when I get them. I don't use gold to spade them. I prefer to do it the old-fashioned way. I just have to get the most absolutely must-have components, namely the parts and FPE. FPE and parts, you know, because they need to be free. Well, they were for a short time. the free Abrams had free parts and FE. Jokes aside, though, you know, I get the FP in parts. Occasionally, I'll get the crew replenishment, but usually on the like I did for the T-80U. I did also for the M1A1, and what else did I get? Oh yeah, and the artillery. Oh yeah, and the M829 shot. That was a must. And then that was it. That was it. All I needed. And then I was good to go. I've yet to play the M1A1 out a lot in a number of battles. I did a few custom, but I haven't done it in a real battle yet because by the time I got it, that's around when I got sick with the flu, and I didn't want to get too frustrated. You know, I wanted to stay calm and cool so I could get better. So I mainly played helicopters, custom battles, and other games for the most part. So yeah. But all in all, the XM1 is a really good tank at its proper BR and at arcade. It honestly reminded me a lot of the Leopard 1 and Leopard A1A1 back when they used to be the best tanks in the game, really, before they added rank 6 tanks. It's definitely brought back a lot of good memories for sure. But yeah. So the next thing I want to talk about is, I guess you could call it another elephant in the room, and that is the Battlefield Engineer event. I know what you're probably thinking. And no, it's not really a rant, because in the end, I did get at least two vehicles that I really wanted from that event, but through a rather unconventional method. And I'll explain why in a little moment. So, by the time I started taking more interest in the event, again, that's also when I got sick, and I didn't want to frustrate myself and make myself even more sick, so I didn't really participate much in it. And by the time I was well enough to be like, okay, I got a cool head now, I can give this a try, yeah. Though I still got a few toolkits for the most part, or whatever they were called, but the system for using them, I have to admit, was quite a bit confusing. And in the end, I just got fed up with it. I'm like, this is just like the IS-7 event last year, except not requiring as much grind. I will give them a plus for that, not requiring as much grind as you did with the IS-7. Even though I don't really remember it all that well, the IS-7 event wasn't really the best. And I remember talking about it on, I forgot what video it was, but I talked about it in an older video back when the IS-7 event was going on. It wasn't all that well, but it's not hardly ever perfect, is it? But at least the nice thing I will take away from the event is that if you can afford it, yeah, you could get those vehicles on the market, and that's what I did. I got the VFW and the I-180S on the market. They were only, I think, 25 bucks, no, 30 bucks. So they weren't all that much, 30 bucks total. So I was able to get them and a handful of other decals and decorations from the market. I have to admit, the market is really nice. It's just, I think part of the main gripe is that it's not available to console players. Or to players to where, what countries are they? I think it's like Belgium and the Netherlands where the market is banned. And that's because of loot boxes. And according to the Netherlands and Belgium, loot boxes are considered gambling. It's like, what? How are loot boxes considered gambling? I mean, come on. Not even the ESRB in the United States or the other equivalents in England, Australia, New Zealand, and countless other countries deem it as gambling. It's like, this is why I don't like politics, people. I hate politics. It's just ridiculous. But all in all, that combined with other things of having to use the market in some cases is probably why a lot of people are just not favorable to the market or the event for that reason. But all in all, I am glad I was able to get at least those two vehicles from the market. I wanted the Merkava, but I was not willing to spend 120 bucks to get the Merkava. That was just way too much. And don't get me wrong, I like the Merkava. Even though its armor isn't really the best, it reminds me of the good old days from when I used to play Armored Warfare with Zero Fighter. Those were good times. But, yeah. For the most part, the event, although I will admit it could have been done better, it is better than, or was better than, in terms of the ideas on paper. I'm not saying it's a good event. It still has its flaws, and in the end, I just got frustrated to the point where I was like, forget this. I'm just going to buy those two vehicles on the market. And I'm honestly wondering if, could it be that that was their intention? Where it's like, sure, you have a choice. You can either grind all you want for the event and hope maybe you'll get the vehicle, or you could get as much resources as you can, sell them on the market, and then use that money, or just, you know, buy more Gaijin coins, and then get the vehicles on the market. Whatever the case, I guess you could say it worked, because I was compelled to get the VFW and the I-180S on the market, and I'm glad I did. I've played them both out in some custom battles, and I will admit, they are a lot of fun. I especially like how the VFW has a 6.7 gun at 5.7 and can reload an 88mm shell every 5 seconds. Of course, you have to have those side flaps down, but hey, 5 seconds is 5 seconds. That's just amazing there. But just to conclude, in regards to that event, it could have been done better, but I can't complain too much because I didn't really play the event as much as other people did, and I certainly would not just want to say, oh, it was... Basically, I don't want to say that I'm above anyone, is what I'm trying to say. I did try, but I didn't try to the point where I just wanted to rip my hair out. I'm not like that. If something frustrates me that much to that point, like sometimes even just playing War Thunder in itself, if something really gruels me, then I just pick another mode. For example, if tanks are giving me a hard time, then I'll switch to planes. Or alternatively, I could just switch to another tier and another nation. That's the nice thing about War Thunder, is if one part frustrates you, then you could just switch to another. There's quite a lot of options to play on. You have over 10 different battle rankings. You have arcade, realistic, and simulator. You have airplanes, helicopters, tanks, and ships. You just have a lot of options at your disposal. But all in all, I'm sorry if I'm dragging this on, but I'm trying to figure out how to end this. The event wasn't perfect, but hopefully they can take some feedback from this. And I've seen some other videos like Spitflyer and the European Canadian talking about it, and when I saw European Canadian's video on the matter, especially where he was doing those toolkits to hopefully try to get a vehicle, and it was just another toolkit, another toolkit, another toolkit, I just had to minimize the screen because I could not look at all that. I was just like, oh man, it makes you think, oh, I could get the vehicle. Okay, I will admit, in that regard, you could probably say that's almost like gambling, but this has been a feature that's been in games for a while now. Even for as long as I can remember, really. But that's a story for another day. But anyway, that is it for today's video. Thank you so much for watching. Hope you're enjoying the video so far, and I hope my talk on the event made sense. It was kind of hard to talk about because I'm not the kind of person that participates in these sort of events very often. I mean, there have been a few, like the one for the FJ4B VMF 232. That one was doable, in my opinion, because you had some simple tasks, and if you couldn't do a task on that time period, no problem, you could just buy it. And in the end, I was able to do, I think it was like 6 or 7 tasks out of 10, and then I just bought the rest, including the ones for the camouflage. So all in all, War Thunder can do. I guess they just have to choose the proper objectives and methods of obtaining the rewards. Because in the past they've done some good ones, and then others like this one, it just needs a little more work. But that's a discussion for another video, because at this point it's just starting to make my head spin. Ay, ay, ay. Anyway, that is it for today's video. Have a great day. Stay safe. Keep your sanity. Peace out.